This is Talk It Over, the only dating relationship podcast that begins in bed. Make the time to subscribe. Now let's pull back those sheets.
Can we talk about the relationships? Can we talk it over, see how we can build? Only you and I know that's the way it goes. In this big old bed, they talk it over, so talk it over. Can we talk it over? We can talk it over. Can we talk it over in bed? Talk it over. Can we talk it over? Can we talk it over? Oh, in bed.
Yeah, it's your man KI from Bedstuy, and this is Talk It Over. And as you know, Talk It Over is the only dating relationship podcast that begins in bed. Trish, what you gonna hit us with the question of the day, the topic?
Can you fall in love with a married man or a married woman? And can you have a full-on relationship with someone who's taken?
I don't know, but I'm about to try and find out right now. Come here. I'm gonna try to find out
y'all
right
can't see. I'm glad the audience can't see this.
Oh,
Okay,
they can't see?
yeah, they can't see.
Oh, I'm
they
sorry.
can see, but the audience can't.
Let me behave myself. I'm sorry, y'all. That was my bad. Repeat the question again.
It is, can you fall in love with a married man or woman, and can you have a full-on relationship with someone who's taken? I'm taking Nas. You can't have me.
Yeah, okay, there's that. So, look, don't be. You said you have an experience. Can you share? All right.
Yeah, I could share.
All right, go ahead.
All names have been changed to protect the identity of those involved.
Yes. Yeah. But
so one time, I will admit, I knowingly was in a relationship with someone who was married, and it wasn't intentional. Like, it literally, we worked together. Let me tell y'all something. When you work with someone and you're with them literally 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and you just click, it was wrong on both our parts. And eventually we got to a point where we were like, yeah, we can't do this. Like,
well, we clicking now. Let's do this.
I mean, I was young. And it was what it was, but I definitely was there. But my good home training that my mama tried to instill in me, it kicked back in. The logic and reason was like, girl, you know better. And then, I was unknowingly in a relationship with a married man once.
That happened to me before, but not with a man.
With a woman.
Ain't no plans with the man. But, to each his own. But no, that happened to me. Yeah, it happened to me with a woman.
I was and believe it or not, this is a crazy story, y'all, but I'm going to tell y'all anyways, because, we family,
no,
we cousins.
Don't, you hold it.
I'm going to let y'all know.
Yeah, hold it in for a minute. We got to come back to that because we have to allow our guest, our newest member, to come on and give it up.
Absolutely.
So, Brother Bruce, as customary, what we do is we allow our newest member to come on and touch the topic first. So the mic is yours, brother.
Yeah. So a really good topic. No, it's a really good topic. And I had been thinking about it, like when I saw the email and everything like that. And I'm like, you know what? Anything is possible in life and love and sex, right? like when you keep it real, sometimes, like I think that, especially with men, right? I think that animalistically, men just sometimes, like, a guy can be married to his wife and love his wife and his kids and love that, but animalistically want to conquer something else, right? Now, as far as being in full-on relationships, that can become a little tricky. I don't think that a person, people do it. People definitely do it, but I don't think a person can, let me say this. I'm not the person that can be married and then be in like a whole nother side relationship for a full-on long time, because then the feelings just become, then it's like you married twice. You know what I'm saying? Then at that point, it's like, well, you might as well just have sister wives, because now you got 2 motherfuckers driving you crazy.
Yeah, exactly. That's the truth.
And you got to pay 2 dinner tabs.
Yeah.
And you got to,
two nails getting done.
Right.
Oh, my God.
Nails in my feet and my head did.
Right,
That's why
exactly.
y'all
Multiply
say
that.
For me,
woman.
for me that wouldn't work
Right.
particularly, but I've definitely seen it happen. I've definitely seen both men and women. I've dated, married women. I've definitely been with married women that were like full on married, like 15 years married, like, and a lot of times, and I was younger. I was a younger guy too, and I thought that was cool at the time, because when you're young, unfortunately, you're young, black, and you come from where I come from, this stuff is considered being manly. It's considered being cool. It's considered being a player, whatever. Right. So you kind of get that, you get that. But a lot of the times, though, if I was dating a married woman, it was because she was married, but she was alone. She was lonely.
Wow.
Her husband was either overworking, either having an affair him damn self, or you know what I'm saying, and she just needed to vent. A lot of times, it was you know, I started becoming a fucking therapist. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you'd be like,
I feel
like,
like
all right,
that's all
I
these
can't.
relationships are. It's therapy.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
it's that sound, that one thing that you're missing that you're not getting at home, and it's not always sex.
Right.
Right.
And it
Just
leads
somebody to
into
pay attention to you and
yeah,
listen to you.
yeah.
And I think that's important for everybody. Like sometimes you in a relationship so long
Mhm.
that you start to go on autopilot. You know what I'm saying? And in those missed moments, and you start having all these false expectations and these resentments and all of these things that are these emotions that are taking over, and then you meet somebody who actually sees you and pays attention to you, and there you go.
That is a very fair point, Bruce, and I'm glad you brought that up. Right. Let's see, Robin, because I know Robin will have to leave soon, so we'll give Robin a chance to speak to the topic. Originally, I asked Robin to come on. Robin was like, I can't. I called her up. We talked for about 45 minutes. She was like, oh, I gotta come on there and drop something on this topic. Although, like, Robin, you were married for about 30 years, right? So you didn't have a whole lot of wiggle room for that type of existence.
I'm wiggling now.
But the way Bruce, but the way you broke it down, I can see how that really could happen that way. But Robin, what say you?
I do think there's different roles that are played in that. I think Naz and I were talking about it. There are people that are married now, but they're not. They're just not divorced because divorce costs money, and it's just a piece of paper, like I said, and they're very much, hey, you want to get married? Just let me know. We'll do this thing. My son is dating somebody from Brazil in California. She has been married. Her ex she's still married, but her ex is very much helping her while she's on his insurance and vice versa, because she's trying to get citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not affecting my son, and that's not affecting their relationship at all.
Right.
But technically, you can say, would you ever date a married woman? Well, yes, he is. I don't have issues with that. But as far as just, I know somebody very well, and this came about, and I thought, yeah, no, that doesn't fit with me. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there. So it's really kind of just a moral thing with me. I just don't. It's not something
right on. Okay.
It's not something I bargained for.
No doubt. Let's Maya-Mae, what you got to say? Because I mean, you look like you about 14. She got a big old rock.
You said a big old rock on her finger.
Let me see that rock you got.
Married.
Oh, yeah, y'all can miss me with all of that, right?
No, I'm with Robin with it. Like, I don't agree with it. Like, I don't like cheating, and that hurts. So I feel like if you're about to do something, cheat, have an outside affair, just cut me loose. Like, we could go separate ways. And I feel like it goes with the woman, because nowadays with social media and how life is now, there's girls that are having the side piece contract, and they're just like out with it. Like, I'm dating your man, and that's fine. There's songs about it with SZA. I have him Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday. And I just feel like it's just disrespectful. Like, think about the wives, I just don't agree with it. Like I couldn't date a married man. I wouldn't have an affair. I'd rather cut my partner loose. Or if we love each other that much, I'll be like, all right, let's have like an open relationship. I'm all about honesty in my relationship. So before we cheat, I'd rather us discuss it. We could do swingers club, whatever you want. Let's make it work. That's how I have it. There's no lies. There's no twisting and cheating. And if that's the type of person you are, you can go.
So so I want to back up real quick. So you would do an open relationship, like you and your partner discuss it. We want to see other people. You would date a married man, or you would allow your husband to date someone else if you guys have that conversation first.
Yes. So if we have an open relationship and you find someone that you're interested in, I find someone, I'm making sure that person, that his partner, if he's married, I need his wife to know, or it has to be open between both the relationship. I don't want to be sneaking around. Like, I don't want you to be married and then your wife doesn't know or is not okay with it. I'm just not for that type of secrecy in relationship, because finding out if your spouse that you've been with for years cheated on you, that hurts. And it breaks a woman. It's especially if you love them. So I'm that's where my head is. I don't agree with people dating people's spouse or whatever. I don't agree with it. Hell no.
Yeah, what you got to say, Chili?
That's important what you said, May.
The main thing that I go by, and believe me, I'm one of those person to quote God and all that. Listen, I think that if you truly love that person and they're married, it doesn't really matter.
No,
if you love the person and she's married and you develop a bond with that other person, even though you're married, there's nothing wrong with it if you're still staying positive. You stay positive. You can have listen. My first relationship at 15 years old was with a married woman. She was 26 years old. She was my mom's friend. You know, the guy was a guy that traveled and he was always gone, and shit happens. You know what I mean? This is the real world. See, people go by, oh, we're supposed to in the book, but realistically, you can't stop your heart if you love that person. And if you can make something good out of that without hurting the other person, so be it.
The Chili, she was a child molester.
She
was 15. That's not cool. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
but listen,
I can relate. Right. If every guy's dream, but actually what it is
the reality
you get dipped into before you actually emotionally and psychologically ready, right? I mean, like the same thing happened when I was 13. My father put this woman on me when I was 13, right? I was petrified, but I was even more scared of him now approving my behavior. So I went on in scared, and did it. But it left a stain on me, though. You know what I mean? My functioning was
not
off.
me. My parents allowed me to watch rated R movies at like 9, so I was watching Revenge of the Nerds. I was curious.
No, I feel you. I mean, my father made porno movies, so I mean, I was exposed really early. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't be scared.
That was a grown woman. He just put on me. He took me somewhere and just put it on me. It wasn't somebody I had been admiring, scoping. I did have one of those crushes on an older woman that lived across the street. You know what I mean? And some other women and aunts and stuff like that, cousins. This was something different. So that's my story. But I get it though.
I also think that when you do develop a bond with another married person, you can actually save that marriage. You see what I'm saying? Because when you're with that one person, they drain you. I'm being honest. They drain you. You're talking 10, 15 years. It usually doesn't work. For example, with Robin, if your husband had another person, then you'd be married still. I think that you'd still be married if you had another guy and your husband had another person. It probably would have worked. And the reason why you see people married for 60, 70 years is because they have another person.
I don't
believe that. Other person.
Hold on a second. Chili. Hold on one second. Chili. I was trying to allow Robin to leave because she's actually got to go pick up her granddaughter. But you just done put a fire all up in.
I'm going over.
Go ahead, Robin.
I'm gonna respond. I'm gonna respond, and then I'm gonna leave. I disagree with you 1,000%. But what the excuse me, 999%. The 1% I do agree with you is I would like to think, and this isn't exactly what happened with me, but I'm the one that left my marriage. what I'm going to agree with is if somebody else comes in, I would like to think, and I would hope, and it did happen in my relationship, was, you can scream and yell and what did you do and this and that or whatever, but two mature adults then go, well, this is a two-way street. You didn't get here by yourself, right? So let's see what we can do to maybe correct that. So in that respect, sure, somebody comes along, there's an interruption, it's taking your attention from where you can sometimes save your marriage if you've got two responsible people, not one that's going to throw your shit out on the lawn and I'm done or whatever, because all that does is harbor resentment and anger forever. And then you're turning your kids away from their dad and, all that BS, which is not the answer at all. We had a very healthy relationship and we were able to be like, look, it takes two to tango. I must not have been there in some ways that you needed me or vice versa. Let me learn from that. So I agree with you that that can actually save a relationship. If it's going to continue, just so that I'm not getting tired of my man or resenting him, or he's not getting angry at me. Yeah, no, that's not going to work.
Okay,
that's definitely not
fair enough.
Not for the long run.
Najami, would you like to add something? You're quiet. I know it's kind of hard to get in there.
Oh boy, this is.
We can move on. We'll come back to you.
Get my glass of wine out for this conversation.
Oh, I see. You look. Where is your dad in relations to you? Because I think you're gonna throw something at him.
We argue about this. I've been arguing about this with my kid since she was 11. You got one person. Sometimes that one person, it's too much.
That's why there's relationship. I'm all about
every human being has so much potential. When you merge with that one person, it's like a hole in your without another person. How do you know if you're even getting the best you can get without going to another person?
I gotta chime in on.
I think that whole it's like it's a drive for you guys. So if you're looking for that secrecy, intimacy, where my wife does, I think that's some people. So if that's the case, you just need to spice up.
I gotta beg to differ on a lot of spaces, right? Because I understand what you're saying, right? About definitely feeling like I know that feeling. I know that is this 100% the right person for me in my life? Is this I know that feeling, but the reality
the thing too,
of
you're
that
also coming home.
Really, that's a choice that you make. Once you really make that choice and say, "Yo, I'm gonna be with this person," then it's your opportunity to say, kind of almost what your daughter says, to kind of tell that person who you are and what you need and what you want. And if you don't take that opportunity to do that, then a lot of times we find ourselves in these situations because we weren't truthful. Because everybody puts that face out, this face of that commercial face out, and then behind closed doors, you know what I'm saying? You really
for example,
a super freak, but you ain't say that.
I'm gonna level with you guys. I've been with my wife since I was 17. I'm 42 now. We have a successful, happy marriage. Part of that success is because I've had another person here and there. Some relationships in between lasted 3 years, some lasted 4 years. I couldn't have standed that woman that long. I don't know how any human being could stand that one person that long. The only reason why we have so much success is because I can give her space because I have somebody else. You're all over your wife. Where you been? We don't live. I don't live like that with my wife. When my wife says she might go out with the girls, I'm giving her the money to go. Go ahead. Go hang out. You can give her more freedom, and then what develops is more respect. Because as a husband, and this is what men don't realize. I'm a little old school. As a husband, your job is to provide. If you can provide for your wife and you can provide for the other, everything balances out. Respect is all around one. I mean, if you don't have the means, then you can't do it. See, and that's what my father taught me. Women is a cost. True. Just dialing them, it's costing you. So to play the game, you gotta be able to provide. And it's not just about finances, but also knowledge. It's like I said, it boils back down to true love. You can love two women and balance and have a wonderful life.
So, Chili, I was saying, I definitely agree with that, and I see what you're talking about, and you're 100% right. And I was going to say something like that. It definitely is people. You can definitely love more than one person. Like that's just a fact. Like it's just there's no way we can live in this world and only love one person and only want to be with one person. It's just that's not realistic, right? I definitely think, especially in a lot of other like a lot of cultures, especially like more Eastern cultures, where you can have more than one wife, whatever. The whole thing about that is like they always say, you can have many wives as you want as long as you can support them, right? So definitely having the money, having the means, or whatever. But I do feel like sometimes like it's maybe having a little relationship in between, or maybe having a little side or whatever here and there, whatever. But I think the long-term relationships do start to get, I feel like they get faulty though. Like they can create more, and I guess it depends. This is the other thing too. I guess it depends on the person too, right? Like if the other woman doesn't know, or the other man doesn't know they apart, right? And they get, kind of sloppy with the situation, and they're calling you and acting crazy and acting like they're your main woman with your main woman or your main man, then I think that's like a big problem, and that's why a lot of people, why it doesn't really work out when you're married and you're in another relationship. You know what I'm saying? When people don't know how to, like, when people just get crazy and don't play their parts and they don't do that, it can get a little tricky. If you
You can't
gonna
lie
get
to
you
your
some
woman.
on the side, get that and keep it moving. That's how I look at it.
I disagree with what you guys say, because I feel like you can love one person forever. I mean, there's been stories where you see 90-year-old, 100-year-old couples that survived it all, and I feel like people give up too easily with relationships, and I'm happy with this show because this podcast with talking it over. That's the biggest thing in relationships is people are scared to talk it over. That's why you go out and get you a little piece on the
Yeah.
side, because you're not honest with your partner. Honesty in your relationships, it'll last. People are scared to be honest. If you're not if you and your partner's been together for 50, 30, 20 years and you don't feel like you're getting pleased, tell that person. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's going to hurt their feelings, but it's going to hurt you guys both when you find out he's getting something on the other side, when he could have been like, well, babe, I like it this way. Can you do it? And you'll be surprised. You might like it that way, and you work it out. And if you tried and it doesn't work, you separate and go find you a new love. But I just don't believe that you should do infidelity, because it hurts a person, and that causes scar, and that leads on to another relationship and bringing baggage from that scar. It's a chain reaction, and that's why most relationships these days don't always work out, because you can't talk it over, daddy.
For me, in my perspective, well, my belief is that we are what our experiences have been. That's our perspectives, right? And then also it depends on where you are in your development and your growth, and that's gonna mold your outlooks on how you deal with relationships. For instance, I got married when I was 18, right? I didn't get married with any intentions of being faithful. It was just like we were just getting married. So I cheated as soon as I got married. So did she. I just didn't catch her. And it's like we broke up after about a year. We had this kid, and I actually have one son that was born in January. The other one was born in July because I was cheating. You know what I mean? That was in my 20s. Then like a couple years later, I was uh grimy. I was unscrupulous. It didn't matter if someone was married. I just thought about what my instant gratification, benefits would be from a situation. It's like I didn't discriminate. Anybody could be a victim. It's like marriage didn't matter, and that's how I lived. I just didn't care. When I got in my 30s, then I tried to be conservative. I got in a relationship. I tried to do the right thing. I tried not to cheat. Right? I did good for about a year and a half, and then I was out of my mind again, right? And the same thing. It's like, uh, except I didn't engage in relationship with women that was married. They could have a boyfriend, and they could even live with them, but couldn't have the paperwork, right?
Right.
And then I got in my 40s, and I was like, all right, I'm not messing with no married woman. And I met this young lady that told me she was divorced, right? She lied, right? I didn't know. I was a few months in when I found out that she was still with her husband. They lived together. And I was like, damn, she's pretty masterful with that. You know what I mean? She has skills. She lied a lot. She remembered the lies. You know what I mean? It's like timing. I mean, she has skills. I'm like, damn, you like the serpent. You know what I mean? It's like I would not have known, just meeting her. And I was in, I mean, like physically in. You know what I mean? We didn't have that mental collect or spiritual, but physically I was in. I was kind of whipped, right? Because it fit, and I had to just break away. You know what I mean? And yeah, so now I'm in a space where I don't mess with no married chicks. You know what I'm saying? It's like we can be cool, but even if you're married, I'm not gonna go beyond certain boundaries, because it's like in my mind, there's certain rules actually when someone's married, right? For instance, my father, when he was married to my mother, he had an affair with a married woman, and her husband got after my father, shot at him. My father got shot in the hand, right? And I overheard him talking to like a cousin and someone else, and they was asking him if he wanted to retaliate. He said, "Yo, no, I violated." You know what I'm saying? I violated. I crossed the line. So I know that if I cross the line and mess with someone's woman, in their state of mind, their state of rage, they could take me out. You know what I'm saying? Or they could do something to me that I can't even be mad because I violated. How am I gonna be violating? That's a boundary that I don't cross. Not in this state of mind. As a youngster, I did, but now I know better. I do better. I don't do that shit no more. You know what I mean? So them boundaries is death for me. I don't fuck with that.
Right.
Yep.
All right.
I,
Who
I,
we got?
like this
Who we got?
forever.
Khadijah. All right, Sister Khadijah.
I've tried so hard to be quiet, and I just had to jump in. I have a few things to bring up from. So I'm a cultural empowerment mindset coach, and I think this is really where like and one of the things that always comes up is culture, and Bruce touched on it a bit with the Eastern religions, and I'm Muslim, so you know the thing of the second wife, and the men are allowed to have up to 4 wives. It's also the psychology. One thing that I learned traveling abroad is that Americans have I'm American, right? But I know from living and being away for 5 years that when you date people of other cultures or you're with people of other cultures, relationshiping looks different. So I think one of the key questions we have to ask here is, what does relationshiping mean to us? Because what it sounds like it means to Alvin is something totally different than what it means to May. And what it means to Robin is something totally different than maybe it means to Bruce. So I think we have to ask ourselves, why are we in the relationship? And are we in it for, physical reasons? Are we in it for mental reasons? Or are we in it for spiritual reasons? Because I believe from my standpoint, when you hit into the spiritual realm, I almost agree with Alvin to a point that it doesn't matter if he's out with another woman. I know that it's only physical, and he's getting a physical need that cannot be provided. But that's thinking from a non-attachment perspective, because here in America, people are so attached to things. We don't know how to detach ourselves, even from one of the big things I also advocate towards, like civil rights and all these things. And I often catch myself either in trouble, with the community, because I'm like, we have to detach ourselves from these emotions so we can focus on the goal. Right. And so the thing is when you get married, what is your goal of it? Because one of the things is like, is the relationship about sex? Because if it's that physical part is important to you, then when your partner or whoever steps out, to me, it's not about you having sex with another woman. It's about honesty and about me feeling like, are you being honest? And that's something that May was talking about. And it feels like a sense of betrayal if it's done behind my back. Right. So if you're bringing it to the table and saying, hey, like, this is the plan, this is what's going to happen, and we talk about it, we discuss it, that's one thing. But if I have to find out about it, now in this partnership, you're betraying me. But then it goes back to, like, in Muslim culture, it's a means of survival, strategy, and advancement, right? And so a lot of the times in the villages, you'll see men that have several wives, and actually the sister wives live together. Why? Because guess what? It's not about sex, it's about strategy. So while he's out in the village, one wife is taking care of the cows, another wife is taking care of the children, and another wife is on the fields doing the plants and collecting the items. So it's about strategy in that aspect. So if we can detach ourselves away from the sexual aspect of it, because at the same time, he's going to get me, her, and her pregnant. Why? Because the more babies that we have, the more help that we have. A man told me straight up, he walked up to me, gentleman, like handsome, like super fit and built and everything. And just, he was like, hey, you are so beautiful. And my wife and I were in an open relationship. And I just want to know if, I can date you. And I was like, you said wife, right? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, no, that I'm not down with that. But one thing that I appreciated and I always respected him for was that he told me he was married. Because then that gave me the opportunity to decide, do I want to be like that? Now we did chill a few times, like at the, like, go to a pool, but it was always public places. I was like, we can be friends, but talking about certain subjects, it was me as a woman. I had to set boundaries because I knew from the first time that we met, he was interested. I mean, can't blame him, but
Well, exactly. I was gonna say the same thing, love. I get it.
Right.
I get it. Can
Yeah.
we move on? And thank you. Yeah. And thank you
That was
for
great.
those
That was
thoughts.
definitely eye-opening. Thank you.
Yeah. Quick break because this is going over, right? But we figured it would go over, and that's okay. So you're listening to Talk It Over. Talk It Over, as you know, is the only dating relationship podcast that begins in bed. We got a fire hot one up in her. What's our topic, Tricia?
It is, can you fall in love with a married man or a married woman? Can you have a full-on relationship with someone who's married?
Yeah, usually we go about 40 minutes, 45 minutes,
We
but
can go for an hour and a half.
we might be up in here until the night.
Well,
Chili, you gotta go. Oh yeah, you gotta go get your nails in here. Look, Tricia left the nail salon to come do the podcast. Here. Okay, so they still waiting for her. But let me ask. So Najami, I see you, Maya-Mae, got yours did. Ow.
Want a wildly satisfying life? Increase your PQ, your pleasure intelligence. I help vulva-bodied people turn on their turn-on and transform their lives. You can find me at juicygen.com. That's JUICYJENN.com. You are listening to Talk It Over, the only dating relationship podcast that begins in bed.
Yes.
I know your hair. Look, your hair done got more inflamed from the time we started till now. I see the flames coming off the top of your joint. So
I see. I'll scratching my head a couple of times.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have become so comfortable in living in lies. We have become comfortable in living in lies, and I always say that when I'm getting into a relationship with a man, let me know what your status is so I can adjust my emotional barometer to deal with your ass, right? So there are 3 different types of relationships. You have monogamous, you have polygamous, and you have polyandry. I believe if a man is into having a relationship with another woman outside of his marriage, he should let the woman know. So she or woman let the man know so they can decide whether they want to move forward or not. I have been with married men before, and I've been with men where their woman and their wives found out, and I struck up a conversation with them. I said, let's meet. Let's have a,
let's meet and whoop his ass.
No, let's talk. Let's talk, because one sister, her husband was Muslim. He had his own apartment. She had his. I would come there. She heard about me and whatever. And then one day, Somehow we end up speaking on the phone. I said, let's meet. I mean, don't you want to know who your husband is fucking? I mean, at least I would. I mean, I sure would. From cultural perspective, African, we are taken away from our cultural paradigm where relationships was understood from, as the sister said, strategic, and it was about family building. So a man had more than one wife. Each wife had her own hut. It was a family building business. One wife did commerce, one dealt with the agriculture, one took care of the children. And yes, the attachment piece is what it creates an issue. The attachment that this is my man, or this is my pussy, or this is my what. Now we need to have, if a person's into open relationships, you need to discuss it. There's nothing wrong really in either one of them. Some relationships, marriages do work well with the husband having another affair or the woman having another man, but this is something that needs to be discussed. Is it something that you're not comfortable with? Don't get into it. And if you feel that has happened because people grow apart, they grow differently, and the relationship goes awry, and you feel your partner's having an affair, be honest enough to own your shit and said, yes, this is what's happening. Now, either you could go for therapy, you try to work it out. But we need to understand the different dynamics of relationship, and people just need to be honest about their shit. You know, ain't no game, shame with this. This is what's happening. I'm not into that. Adjust your emotional barometer by being honest and being straight up.
What is honesty, right? Because that looks different for different people, right? So we have to. So again, can we talk it over? And some of the things that we're talking over is what our values are as human beings, so that we can create that construct and build those communities that we want to be in, or to simply have sex, right? Tricia, you wanted to add something?
No, yeah. I was saying, the honesty portion of it. So like, I'm always for stories because I've lived. I'm a lot older than I actually look. So,
oh girl, I got a dog older than you.
Boy, bye. But no, seriously, I was in a relationship, a long-term relationship with a Muslim man, and he was very open and honest about what he did, the women that he dated, what he wanted. He wanted multiple wives. I was a little younger. And I understood the purpose of it for strategic reasons. To build, it made sense. What I wanted, what he wanted, it aligned. Our values aligned in that sense. Here's where it went wrong, though.
Come on.
He brought someone else into the relationship that didn't want those same things. She wanted him and only him. And then somehow one day she convinced him. Or no, she added him to her insurance, and then they had to get married. This is where the dishonesty and the distrust comes from, because when it was all out in the open and we were talking about, this relationship and who fit what role and how it all worked cohesively and what we were trying to build, it was fine. But when they secretly went and got married, covertly, and didn't say anything for months, like it was about a good 6 months before I figured it out on my own that he had actually married her, it kind of dissolved the entire relationship, because now that trust that we had built, where we had this open relationship, where I knew he wanted a polyamorous relationship with myself as in the relationship and this other girl in the relationship, it then kind of fell apart because that trust was now gone. And I think, when you're talking about married and dealing with married people, the level of communication has to be superior. It has to be very, very high. You have to be able to talk about your wants, your needs. If you're doing it because you're fulfilling a need and this is something that's done in secret, anything you do in secret, it's automatically, if you can't talk about it, you probably shouldn't be doing it. Yep. That's my personal
opinion.
I agree. Yeah.
Well, what I'd like to say is that, because a lot of people get what I do wrong. See, the main thing is, no matter who you're with, you have to have it takes a lot of responsibility, because I'm not one of those guys where, oh, I see that girl, I want her. No, the two that I'm with, I'm dedicated to. I don't look at another woman. It's all about them. It's all about their well-being, where they're going and where they're coming from. Some people, like I said, when you develop a bond with someone, a unique connection, like, you start to feel like it's about family. It's not about, oh, well, I hate that and I got that and I'm going to go get that. That's not me at all. So I'm not one of those guys that say, oh, you got to go get a job. And no. I'm the man. I took you upon myself. It's my responsibility. If we're starving or anything, it's my fault. If your nails isn't done, it's my fault. So under that guarantee of me providing that, and like I said, responsibility, you don't treat a woman bad, you don't down talk to one, you treat them equally. And then you see where their energy, you get their energy up to the most positive that it can be, and then you see the results of how they treat you. I've been with women where, yes, they want to leave and have their own man, but guess what? That man's not going to treat you like how I treat you, even though even though you're the second woman. You're still not going to find somebody that's going to care about you or listen to you like how I do. So go ahead. You're always free to go. Any woman is free to go.
All right, listen, that's very powerful, and all the women's antennas went up. And I already know, look, you either going to your daughter's house or you coming from it. You probably going to it because I know when she see you, it's on and popping. Like he already, yeah, he just showing off, Maya-Mae.
No, that's how he, and he's entitled to his opinion, and that's what makes our relationship great. We're completely opposites.
Absolutely. No, I'm just messing
She's
with
young,
you.
give her till 30.
All right, hold on. Let Najami, go ahead. Go ahead, Najami. Yeah, Najami had a finger up. You know when a woman put that one finger up, son?
Church finger.
Yeah, that's it. What is it?
The church finger.
The church finger. Yeah, she put the church lady finger up. So go ahead, Najami.
Okay, no, go to Bruce for a second. Let me.
Thank you. Go ahead, Bruce.
This is a great topic. You know what? I think that Khadijah and Najami touched on something that was important about about community, right? Like strategy, right? And in those certain spaces. But I think another very important thing is like possession, right? Like people think that they own people, right? So like you get with a person, they're like, oh, that's my girl, that's my pussy, my dick, you know what I'm saying? You get in that space, and that's and I think that one thing can become, sometimes it becomes a little troublesome, you know what I'm saying? And and also people in positions to not be able to tell the truth sometimes, because this person is so possessive over you that if you went to them and said, hey babe, listen, I'm having a hard time with this. I want to do this sexually. I want to do this, right? They may fucking kill you. Oh, hell no. You ain't about to do that with or without me. That's a big issue. And I get where May is coming from. But May, you are a rare breed. that I will say, especially like I'm used to dating Black women. But I have dated white women. I've dated all races, right? And I think that culturally, there's a lot of big differences as well, too, like what people are for. Like, so I know that, unfortunately, if I was talking to, and I can say this, to a Hispanic woman or a white woman, that they'd be more open to hearing me out about an open relationship or an open sexual experience or whatever the case may be. But when I'm talking to more like a Black woman, like an American Black woman, and or even like a Caribbean woman, right? They're not that open to hearing me out on an open relationship or an open sexual experience, right? And then sometimes you find yourself in relationships, right? Because you meet somebody, you like them, you get with them, y'all sleep together, the possession starts, all these things happen, right? And then you find yourself in a space where you guys can't tell the truth to each other no more, right? Because you went somewhere, you missed the buck to tell each other the truth, right? And a lot of times it becomes sexual. It becomes when people start to be possessive over each other, and and people want their cake and eat it too, right? So you don't want, you want to, like, guys, especially guys want to sleep around, right? And some girls would be like, oh, okay, that's what you want to do. Shit, then I'm sleeping around too, and we good. But they can't take that. People can't take that. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the problem lies, and that's where the lies come in when people start saying, well, you know what? If I try to explain to my wife that I need this, or if I try to explain to my man that I need this person is not going to accept that from me,
Yeah, I
right?
think that is the key, is the possession part, because when you are with a person, it's my girl and that's my man. It's always the first thing that comes out. Yeah, that's my man. So that is huge, because even I'm guilty of it, because it's like that's my person, you know. So if we could work around that, I think the relationships will be better.
So let me ask, because Bruce, you said something really, really powerful about possession, right? And then not being able to be honest. So Najami, you were next. So we'll let you go up next. Speak to how that possession creates, and anybody's free to do it after Najami, but speak to how that possessiveness creates the lies, where we start to veer off. Yeah, I know you had maybe a different stream of thought that you wanted to move on, but after that, I want to get into and anybody's free to just put your hand up and we'll get to you. How do we go from that possession and taking possession of another person to then veering off and starting to lie and be deceitful? I know I would love to hear Brother Hassan on that topic as well. So go ahead, Najami, do your thing.
Yeah, well, possession, the whole idea of possession is coming from a place of fear. It's coming from a fear place, false evidence appearing real. My culture, I am from Trinidad and Tobago. So I grew up in a polygamous a village where the married men all had mistresses. I'm a child of one of my father's mistresses, and I have other sisters and brothers because of that. But the women did that based on survival. It was about survival. They have needed a man to take care of them. And my mother was a kept woman. My father rented this house, everything that she needed. She got food. There are times when he didn't bring money, and saying that, as we grow into certain awareness, levels of consciousness, we no longer do some of the things that we used to do. When you grow up, as a act as a child, but now as we get older, putting on our big boys jockey shorts and pulling up our big girl panties, we need to really be honest. I say honest. You stayed where you are. Listen, I'm into dating different women right now, or I'm into dating different men, or I'm into open marriages, or I'm into bisexual relationships, or whatever it is. Just state what it is, and if you're cool with it, then it's a beautiful thing. That's all I'll say with that.
So really quickly, so when growing up, we would hear stories that my grandfather had two families. He had my grandfather's Indian. He had a black wife and he had an Indian wife. So we have a whole set of family that we don't know, because he was never able to bring the two women together. Like they were very possessive in their own right. He had one family here, he had one family there, and he had to maintain both of these families with both of these sets of kids and grandkids and etc. So my grandfather has long passed away, but it has been in our family. It has been a topic of conversation where it's like, how did he maintain? Why did he maintain these two families? And instead of understanding that, if he would have been able to bring those families together, he would have been able to get a lot further than, having to keep them apart. We would be a much tighter family. It's just like, these are conversations that we have all the time, but I am no stranger to, in West Indian families, having you have your wife and then you have your mistress, or your kitty, or whatever you want to call her. But
then the kids end up, sometimes brothers end up sleeping with cousin and brother and sister, and you don't know. There are many calypsos on that. Your brother is your brother, your sister is your sister, but your mama or your papa don't know. So this whole change in the dynamics of relationship building or marriage or relationships came when the Europeans came, and they changed the whole physiology of African relationships. We didn't have any secrets and stuff. Listen, there were some cultures had more than one wife. Some cultures had more than one husband. And some of them was monogamous. Okay? So you choose which shoe fits you, which cap will fit you, so to speak.
Son, you got anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I actually, looking back into my own life's catalog, I did. My second son's mother, she was definitely more cultured than I was in terms of our heritage, from the motherland and about traditions, and she actually stepped up and told me that she was willing to have a polygamous relationship with me, with someone else, as long as she was the number one, and I heard it, but I didn't listen to it, what I mean, which was good within itself, because my behavior just wasn't stable enough to maintain that type of tribe. It's like my mind was willing, but in reality, I just wasn't there, because I was just all over the place. I was so damaged from from earlier trauma that I was always just seeking stuff outside of myself to help me feel better. So I really wasn't a good candidate for relationships, and my twisted mind from an early time had me believing that I wanted to have 5 or 10 women at the same time, spread out, across the country, and I wanted to be a criminal. It was just twisted. My mindset was. I mean, I didn't aspire to be a lawyer or a doctor. I wanted to be a criminal, a thief, a pimp, a player. All those things. What I'm saying? I wanted to be a killer. Amazingly, a lot of those things came true, right? I did at one time have all these women, right? I was in a relationship with one, and then there were several other ones I was in a relationship with, and my life was unmanageable. It was overwhelming. It was a job. It was a job. I happened to had means at the time, but it was a job that I just put up with for a minute,
So
I got burnt out with that. And I'm not pro several women anymore. You know what I mean? I don't have that energy. You know what I'm saying? I don't have the energy for all those women anymore. That's another thing. It's it's great in theory, but do I have the energy? Not really. You know what I'm saying? Not now. Not with my pursuits. Not with my life purpose now. No, I can't do it. So I have friends and just one. Yeah.
So I feel like at certain stages in your life, I feel like you need different things at certain points in time in your life.
Right.
I feel like when you get married, and I'm not married, but this has been my understanding, in your younger days, it's more physical. Then as you progress, it's kind of like, in your 20s, it's physical. In your 30s, it might be physical, but now you're looking to settle down more. So you're looking to build. In your 40s, you're looking to build. In your 50s, you're looking maybe to travel and have someone that you can spend leisure time with. If you meet someone that doesn't fit all of those characters as you grow as a person, I can understand why it's easy for people to cheat. Why it's easy for you to bring someone in that fits the requirements that you need at that point in time in your life. People grow in different stages.
Absolutely.
So
no doubt.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily wrong, right? Yeah. It's just meeting people where they're at inside of their development, their developmental stage, right?
Yeah.
This is a really hot topic, and normally we don't have this many people on, but because we're celebrating the show's anniversary, 1-year anniversary, and it's such a hot topic, we wanted to be able to have everybody's input. Thank you all for coming on. Anybody that has any last or closing remarks, we definitely would love to have you comment. Chili, you want to?
Yeah, I just want to tell everybody, here we are in the world. Exercise love, exercise self inner peace, and follow your dreams. Don't indulge in negative energy. That's it. If you stay positive, you can make miracles. Remember that. But it takes love. It takes gratitude and remembering where you're coming from, and it's going to take some faith. So, that's what I want to leave everybody with, like I usually do, basically just spread love and have a lot of respect for people and, keep your ears open. Listen instead of always, talking. Sometimes we all need to listen and basically, like I said, continue to spread love.
Facts. Brother Bruce Miller, we want to thank you for being one of our special guest co-hosts. We would love to have you come back on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You had a lot of wisdom, a lot to say, and it's not always easy to be vulnerable. And so thank you for trusting us with those vulnerabilities and sharing those things. Lastly, is there something you wanna add?
Yeah, I will say, so just on the topic, I will say that when I was in my 20s, I had I lived multiple lives. Let's say that, right? I was in my 20s, I had a girlfriend, but I was touring around the country and I was doing all that stuff. And then and that was supposed to be like monogamous, and she was possessive of me, and she was, crazy, this crazy girl, right? And it was no way in hell I could ever say to her, hey, I got 5 other girls that I'm dating over here, right? And that was that one life that I lived, right? And then there was a point in time though where I had like 4 or 5 girls that I was like dating together, like, and they all knew, and we were all cool, and we all hung out together, and we all drank together and chilled together, and everybody was at my house, and it was always a party, and I didn't care if they would sleep with my homeboys. Sometimes I would encourage that. You know what I'm saying? But
This time of your life.
Right? No, seriously. This was stuff that was happening. Like literally, like we would have these, like so many girls would be at my house, and we would have these parties, and these would be my girls. Like they knew that. And like, oh, Bruce, whatever. But they were sleeping with my friends too. Oh my, sorry.
No, you good. Keep talking. We can hear you. We might not be able to see you, but we can hear you. Oh,
he dropped off.
He dropped off. Okay. Let's see. Let's have one of the ladies. Maya-Mae, you wanna? In closing, always a pleasure to have you and your dad on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, y'all two. We're actually, Anna and I are prepping for a reality show with fathers and the unique relationships that they have with their daughters, and we actually want to start. We want to produce one with you all first. Yeah, you all have such a great relationship. So Maya-Mae from around the way, my other guest host. What you got to say, my love?
Well, I just have to say, like, no one's perfect. Everyone, you learn as you go. And I'm not perfect either. Like when I started dating I was experimenting with, before he was my fiance, I dated 2 guys at once. And there was situations where his cars got scraped and tires got flattened. So because it boils down to one person wanting to be the number one in your life. So, and like I said, feelings get hurt. So just be honest with each other and just pick one person, for God's sake. One person is good enough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, if one works for you, right? One can be the loneliest number that you ever knew. but I would just say this, because everybody on this show knows that you said everybody's not perfect, but actually that's not true. Everybody knows that Nas is. So with that said, moving right along. Khadijah's like, oh no, you didn't up in here.
Khadijah, listen.
Khadijah about to get the finger going. Like, I got that one for you, son. So let's see. Let's move on to Sister Khadijah. You still mic'd up? Yeah, thank you for joining us. Hopefully you find something of value and that you come back and join us on other podcasts. We won't have nearly this many people on, so but this is a special occasion. So thank you so much. Is there anything you want to say lastly? And where can people find you?
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I think this was a very enlightening conversation. I did a lot of listening, and I was just taking notes because there was just a lot of information, and being open-minded and traveling the world you get to hear so many different perspectives, especially like men's perspectives are quite unique, because I find when I detach myself from my emotions that I'm able to, because I believe women are more subconscious physical beings, whereas men are more conscious physical beings. And so women feel everything. We're inspired by the feeling. But I feel that our jobs as women is to inspire the man to be more in tune with his own feelings, and he inspires us to be more logical with our feelings and be in tune. So that's just something that I've observed just personally, but I think overall this discussion is awesome. And like, it's just about being open-minded towards other understandings, but you still have your own preference, right? Like, I can understand things, but that doesn't mean that's my preference, right? I can understand someone in an open relationship, but that doesn't mean that's what I want for myself. So I think it's dope that we can discuss this and have so many different views on the subjects. And thank you guys so much for having me and being vulnerable as well.
Yeah, you are awesome. I love
Yeah.
hearing your point. You eyes to a lot of things, and I
Yeah, she did.
definitely want to follow you on your endeavors and learn some new stuff, because I'm learning from you, girl. I love
Yep.
it.
Oh, I
Yeah.
forgot to say my social. So I'm usually on Instagram. Is KHADIJAHTOUTOU, and yeah, that's usually my main stream of social media. So I love to.
Yes, I will be following you. I need words of wisdom every day from you. You do
Oh,
stuff.
Yeah, I'm probably as well.
Yeah.
We'll be
Yeah,
together.
I-
We'll be together. I'll be asking you for inspiration. Don't think this comes naturally. This is everyone.
exactly. Everybody on here, it's a two-way street, right? I mean, the energy and the vibe and the conversation. That's why everybody we make sure that the people that we invite on have a synergy of love and understanding and oneness. So we really appreciate that. And exchanging back and forth, right? Because that's how we build better communities. Let's see, Sister Najami, do you want to add something in closing? Thank you once again for coming on and being part of the Talk It Over family and celebrating with us our 1-year anniversary. Is there anything you want to close out with?
Yes, I want to say congratulations and to Talk It Over show, the only podcast that begins in bed. What a brilliant concept! What a brilliant opportunity! Because in bed you got to be vulnerable, right? Even though some people are not. I appreciate the conversation, and to piggyback off of what Sister Khadijah said regarding the subconscious. 3 levels of consciousness. You have the superconscious mind, which is the God goddess head that directs the subconscious, and which is feminine in nature, and the conscious is masculine in nature. So that once it's all about understanding different perspectives. Being monogamous is fantastic, and that works for you. If you're in polygamous relationship or polyamorous relationship, and that works for you, once you have the alignment, there has to be compatibility and alignment of people's energies. And once you have that, you're cooking with gas. So
That's
thank you again. Peace
Appreciate
and
it.
love, everybody.
Brother Hassan, to the break of dawn, what you got, son?
Yeah, man. I'm just processing, all this information that's been floating around, and I'm gonna, process it and add it to my arsenal, and just continue to expand. You know what I mean? It's like life's a continuous journey. So this segment is a part of that journey. So I'm richer now than I was before I came in here. I'd like to thank all of you for participating and helping to empower me to my next level. Thank you.
Absolutely. Wow. Thank you, Brother Hassan. That was well put. Hassan has joined us actually as one of the show's co-producers, and we are so thankful to have him on. We welcome Big Ole back from his journey. He went down to North Kakalaki to be with his family. Hassan has brought Sister Khadijah on board, Sister Najami, and Brother Bruce. We're really thankful for you all. Bruce, real quick, I wanted to ask you, you cut off earlier.
Yeah.
But I can only imagine, like, you and Hassan come from the music industry. where a lot of this type of behavior of being in relationships with other people, were married or being with other people that were committed, like how did you, I mean, was it going through all of that that led you to be where you are now, like a family man? I remember one time Hassan was talking to you, and he said, "Man, I'm trying to get Bruce on the phone, but he's making cookies with his children." Bro, I just laughed, man. I thought that was so beautiful, you know, and it said a lot about you as a person before we even got to meet and talk. And I said, Hassan, yo, that's cool, man. If he at home making cookies with his children, then leave him alone and allow him that time, because that's a beautiful thing. So a lot of what you've come to now had to be born out of being in the music industry, where it was almost like the Wild Wild West, right? Anything goes.
Definitely. And that's what I was kind of alluding to when I was talking in my phone when somebody's like calling me 1,000 times, and like the fact that I'm doing this, right? I'm like trying to hang up on them, and then I hung up the whole phone and just
right.
So, but my point was that I was living these lives, right? And then when my son was born, and I got into kind of this relationship, things changed for me, like a dynamic change for me, like seeing him and seeing his needs, right? And I started to realize, like, all of these things that I thought was important to me, and running around and being kind of worn out almost, you know what I mean? I lived a very worn out life, you know what I'm saying? Yep. And I didn't want to be worn out anymore. I didn't want to be up at 3, 4, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning every day and sleeping until noon and all of these things. I think that there was a shift. And with this topic matter now, me and my lady are together. We've been together 10 years, and we have 3 children, and we are not yet married, but we're engaged to be married, and there's some reasons why or whatever amongst all of that, but we have a good relationship, and at this point in my life, right, like the person that I was then, right, where if with somebody like her, if I wanted to kind of step out or whatever the case may be, I would have just gone and done that quietly, you know what I mean? Because she wouldn't accept that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we couldn't have that kind of conversation. But now I feel like as we grow in our relationship, and we had to go through a lot of growth scenarios with us, because she came from a particular background, and I'm the only person she's ever been with, and I came from this background where I've been around the world, so it was very different. Our ideals were different. There was a lot of growing that we had, and that we still have to do, even with our honesty with each other and about who we are and what we are, because the background that I come from, it was these things were kind of pushed upon you to be a player, to be this, and not be honest and treat women,
objectify them, right?
Right. Just that was the lifestyle. And when you don't know, you really just don't know. You know what I'm saying?
And a lot of times, right? And a lot of times we don't know that we don't know, right?
Right. Exactly. That's
so
the
how
other
do you?
thing too.
Yeah.
You realize some stuff as you get older. And you go, oh, wait a minute, that was kind of foul.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what I did here was kind of foul. You got to build with your person. You have to build with your person, and y'all have to find a way. Go talk to a therapist. Talk to somebody that can help you build your relationship, because I know as a man, it was very hard for me to open up, very hard for me to be honest, very hard for me to be vulnerable, because I didn't come from that. You know what I'm saying? Nobody ever showed me that. So do something I've never seen before. You know what I mean? And these are things that I had to learn. You know what I mean? And I learned this truthfully through my children. Yep. You know what I'm saying? By having to be compassionate and being another person for, like, really, because they can see you. So you got to be like, you got to bear it all.
Children are the game changer, right?
Right. And that's what taught me to open up. And I think that truthful is like, just like my man Chili said, at the end of the day, it's all about love. it's all about being honest with yourself, knowing who you are and yourself, and working on that, because nobody's perfect. So you always got to constantly be in a working phase and constantly be in that mind state to say, hey, I want to bring positive into the world. I want to be able to be helpful towards somebody and give somebody something that they need, give them food that they need, whether it's for thought or whether it's just physical, somebody hungry, and have empathy. You know what I mean? I think that empathy is the key to it all, right? Like having an understanding of another person's situation. So it's just like Khadijah said, just because I accept it, you know, I understand and I see and I accept it, don't mean that that's particularly my thing, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not judging you neither. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think that as long as we can live our lives like that, man, you be all right. You know?
So now you dropped we lost you when we were talking about perfection. Actually, I'm perfect. But you know, with that said, we're gonna move right along. Let me ask you in closing: will you come back and join us on another podcast, another topic?
Most definitely. Anytime.
That's what's up. Awesome. Really appreciate it. I want to thank my producers, Anna Banana. I want to thank Hassan. We want to thank Big O and wishing him safe travels and having fun and spending great time with his family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I miss you.
Yes. I'm elated that Tricia is here. We go way back, right, Tricia? We go back about 10, 12 years or something, right?
Yeah, the bar. Matter of fact, Obama's inauguration is when I met this man. I walked in the bar in a red dress. It was turning heads and caught his attention.
It was you know, you hear love at first sight. It was love at first sight as well as trouble at first sight. I said, whoa, look, shut the bar down. Look, everybody getting paid today. Y'all go home. Everybody, you, Tricia, you gotta stay.
You stay.
You stay, Wardy. I was like, what in the world has just walked in here?
Yeah.
So we've been friends ever since. Yeah. So we look to cultivate and nurture those very same long-lasting relationships. Each one of you are special and unique. We appreciate your perspective. My last producer, Bumpy Johnson. Bumpy just put out a new album. Don't ask me the name, but next week I'll have it for you. Anna Banana might know it because she knows all. But once again, this is Talk It Over. As you know, Talk It Over is the only dating relationship podcast that begins in bed. And as I always say, slow motion for me. Yeah, peace, everybody. Happy holidays.
Bye.
Happy holidays. Happy New Year.
Happy holidays.
Thank
Blessings.
you. Yes, blessings.
All the best, all the best.
You've been listening to Talk It Over, the only dating relationship podcast that begins in bed. We hope you got what you needed. Make sure you subscribe. Holla at you next week.